Over thousands of years, humans have grown closely with mushrooms, relying on them for a variety of sources. I would assume the majority of Americans, or even Westerners, tend to only think about their culinary uses. However, they're also used in medicines all over the world, particularly Asian countries, and they're even used in some spiritual practices. A prime example of this is the psychedelic mushroom used in high mountains of Oaxaca in southern Mexico. The key molecule in these mushrooms is called psilocybin. However, once it's ingested, a phosphate group is removed by enzymes, turning it into the psychoactive psilocin. Psilocin is an agonist for serotonin receptors, where it induces cellular responses, generally involving G-protein coupling, for a secondary messenger. These responses, depending upon the receptor psilocin binds to, are involved in locomotion and aggression, or seizures and temperature regulation. In 2004, a double-blind, placebo-controlled study conducted at the Psychiatric University Hospital of Zurich, Switzerland, measured psilocybin's effects at different dose levels in human participants. Participants' moods, vitals, and certain hormone levels were measured for 24 hours from ingestion. One measurement scale used was the Adjective Mood Rating Scale. Over 3 time measurements were taken using the scale method. The higher dosage volunteers exhibited a significant increase in general activation, as well as emotional excitability and dreaminess. However, introversion increased as well as the higher the dose. In addition, at the peak of their experience, the higher dose volunteers had increases in their mean arterial pressure over 110 millimeters of mercury. This is compared to the placebo participant pressure of 97 millimeters of mercury at the same time. Hormone sampling at the 105-minute mark showed significant increases in prolactin, adrenocorticotropic hormone, and cortisol. This suggests psilocybin has an effect on stress responses that may be induced by corticotrophin-releasing hormone or from the adrenal cortex directly. The higher levels of prolactin indicates increased production of dopamine. According to an article written on dopamine receptors in the British Journal of Pharmacology 8 years ago, dopamine receptors are used as targets for drugs treating schizophrenia, bipolar disorder, depression, and Parkinson's disease. Dopamine clearly plays a huge role in the alteration of a person's mood. The Adjective Mood Rating Scale data from the Zurich study shows that the volunteers' moods were likely altered by the dopamine production induced by the high levels of prolactin psilocybin creates. A study conducted in 2020 at Aarhus University in Denmark measured the difference in expression of genes involved in neuroplasticity in the hippocampus and prefrontal cortex of rats. They concluded that psilocybin rapidly induces the gene expression of proteins used in neuroplasticity more in the prefrontal cortex relative to that of the hippocampus. This suggests the use of psilocybin may help in the breaking of habits or the release of trauma by stopping certain neuronal pathways and creating new ones. Now, while there hasn't been much research conducted on psilocybin's effects and potential uses because of its illegal status, the results so far in the studies that have been conducted show promise for its helpfulness, not only in everyday life, but in overcoming addiction and neurodegenerative diseases.